Hello, my name is Father Bill Moisant. I'm pastor here at Resurrection Catholic Parish in Tualatin, Oregon. I'd like to take a few minutes today to reflect upon the Christian's call to stewardship. This is an important part of our life as disciples of Jesus Christ. We'd like to spend some time today reflecting upon that reality. In 1992, a committee of bishops was formed by the National Committee to take a look at how to raise money more effectively in the church among our faithful. The church had gone through some very hard times financially, and the bishops were looking for a way to raise the income of the parishes in the diocese. What would be the best way? Traditionally, as Catholic parishes, we've had bingo, we've had auctions, we've had donut sales, we've sold cookies and cakes, and the tradition has been among the Catholic faithful to give their money in exchange for what they got. You sell me something, I give you money, and you use that money to support the church. The bishops wanted to find a better way than that. That wasn't enough, and it didn't seem that it was sufficient in order to support God's people. In the process of thinking about a way to raise money from the faithful, the bishops came to a realization that they weren't really there to talk about money. What they were there to do was to talk about discipleship, to talk about God's call to all of his people to be good disciples and to be good stewards of the gifts that God gives us each day. God owns everything in the universe, and God gives us gifts out of his love and generosity. We don't earn it, we don't deserve it. God gives us these gifts as a reflection of his love for us. We see it in the time that we have in this life, whatever it is. That time is a gift. We see it in the abilities or talents that we have. Each of us have a unique combination of things that we can do. And also we have a treasure. We have treasures that the Lord has given us in terms of financial realities or having to do with resources that we have in our lives. But the Lord gives those to us. And that as good disciples, being called to be good stewards, we're called to reach out and accept those gifts, to accept them and cherish them, and thank God for those gifts. Thank God for them. And then we use those gifts in our lives to help us, to support ourselves, to help us through life. But then we're also called to give of those resources, to give of that time, give of that talent and those treasures to others in order to help them follow the path of Jesus and to meet their needs, especially those who are poor and especially those who are looking for support from us. And so the bishops decided that in publishing a document that was called Stewardship, a Disciple's Response, they wanted to teach the people about the work of the Holy Spirit in the lives of each parish, that the Holy Spirit guides God's people in special ways, that the support from the parish comes from the people, but also because of the work of the Holy Spirit in their lives. So the bishops are calling the people not to give because you think the church needs it, or that the church needs a certain amount. We give of ourselves because that's what the Holy Spirit is calling us to do. The Holy Spirit is calling us to do this or to that, to give of that amount of those resources. And each of that is unique to each one of us. So the bishops were calling us as God's disciples to listen to the work of the Spirit in our lives, to how is it that we can grow in our life, because by being generous with others, by giving of those gifts to the parish and to the poor and to the diocese, we are feeding God's people. We are helping them and supporting them, supporting the work of the parish and the diocese in promoting the gospel and in evangelizing those around us. And so it is that way that we become like Jesus. Jesus gave of himself. He gave himself completely as he hung upon the cross. We too are called to reflect that generosity of self, of giving of ourselves for the good of others, and to help others, not to hoard it, not to be like the world who's obsessed with getting more and getting more and getting more. We're called to be generous and to give because we know that it is better to give than to receive. We know also as Christians that as we give of ourselves, God gives back to us. God gives to us as also back to a reward in our generosity as well. So as we reflect upon stewardship, about our call to use our time, talent, and treasure, it's important that we listen to the Holy Spirit. In our parish here at Resurrection, about 7 years ago, we stopped auctions. We stopped buying and selling. We stopped doing the marketplace trading in order to raise money. We stopped all of it. And what we've done instead is to talk with the people, to encourage them, listen to the Holy Spirit. What is it the Lord is calling you to do? Not for me to give you something and then you give me money. What is the Lord calling you to do in terms of your resources? What is Jesus saying to you today? What is it that I'm to give? How do I give up my time and my abilities and the treasures that I have in my life? What does God want of me? That's much more fulfilling as being disciples of Jesus than us doing the marketplace exchange where I give you a painting and you give me money, or I give you a donut and you give me $1. It has to do with listening to the Holy Spirit. And in doing that, our people then grow in their spirituality. They grow in their closeness to God because they actively are doing the work of God, but doing it in concert with God and really calling upon the Spirit to help them know, what is it, Lord, that you want me to do? And as a good steward and as a good disciple of Jesus Christ, we're called to listen to the Spirit. What is it the Lord wants us to do? And then to explore what we have available to us. What are the gifts that God's given us in this life? To make decisions then with clarity as far as what is it that I can do to help, to support, to give to God's people in order to promote the gospel, in order to heal the sick, in order to help out those who are poor or in need, and therefore live in the Spirit of God, listening to the Spirit of God, and doing the work of the Spirit in this world.